All right, so boom, right? Come back to IMG from being back home, right? Get into my rehab, my physical therapy, and everything at the Gatorade Sports Science Center at IMG. One of the best facilities in the country. Got everything I could possibly ask for. And, recovery's going great. I'm getting back stronger and everything. Like, things are going well. But it's weird, like, during your recovery process, you'll find the weirdest little things to kind of fixate on and honestly be kind of insecure about and have a problem with sometimes. And we don't always think about that. For me, going to class every single day, having to bring a pillow to class to put my arm on, to rest my arm on, to make sure that I was comfortable, I hated that. It's like something that I'm supposed to be doing for my own well-being and my comfort is, honestly just making me feel different in a way that I don't want to. It's something that I honestly just felt embarrassed to do a lot of days, but I really didn't have a choice. Otherwise, I'm going to be in pain as I'm trying to focus and learn, and I'm not going to be able to do so. So, just little things that you fixate on in these type of situations that you really shouldn't have to, or it might seem odd to do so. But let's switch gears. Got a new episode today with a new guest. I'm so excited to welcome Julian Merritt, a kid that I've known for, just about his whole life, has an amazing story, and is ready to share it with y'all today. Let's welcome Julian Merritt on the Uncontainable podcast by me, Lou Hutchinson. Welcome back to Uncontainable, the podcast where we talk about the pain behind the passion and the triumph that comes from that. Today, man, I'm joined by a guy who honestly gave me a lot of inspiration in terms of making this whole thing in the first place, which we're gonna get into a little bit today. Julian, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. This kind of surreal for me because, kind of going back to when I first even got the idea for this, something that, culminated into, just us talking and being there for each other through the process. That kind of gave me the idea for this. So I feel like it's really cool for me to even have you on here in the first place. And, I just give you a little bit of a kudos in terms of, the idea making for this whole thing. So thank you for joining me, man.
Of course, man. Happy to be here.
So going all the way back to really just going back to the start when it comes to basketball, your journey, not just as an athlete, but also as a person. Can you speak on that a little bit?
So my journey with being an athlete was I played basketball and football my whole life. High school hit. We had a great JV season my freshman year. And trying out for varsity my sophomore year, I came down with an injury in a preseason game, which I tore my ACL, my LCL, and I had severe nerve palsy damage in my foot. That recovery state was about a year to a year and a half, which the doctor told me was going to be 2 years. I succeeded those expectations and returned back to the court my junior year, but I just didn't feel like myself. So I had to take some time to really figure out who Julian was. And I took a step away from basketball to then return back for my final season my senior year.
Man, that's a very tough situation. And kind of like, first off, the fact that you were able to come back early, that's big because that's not kind of just like one finite injury. You went through almost like multiple different recoveries in one, right? And kind of going back to the start of that, right? You talked about played two sports, you got injured. For me, I found out from my parents, right? Of course, our parents have both gone to Metropolitan Baptist Church for many years. Um, and my parents were like, hey, Julian from church, his parents said he got injured, he tore his ACL, LCL, and, that he wants to talk to you because, you're kind of like the only person that he knows has been through something like this. And for me, that opened my mind, right? For you, what was it like? I remember we texted back and forth a little bit, got on the phone. For you, what was it like kind of going through that the mental aspect when you first heard about the injury and being like, okay, I'm gonna take on this battle. Um, and what did it feel like being able to have somebody to talk to about what you were going through because everybody doesn't always have that.
Man, initially when I first heard about my injury, it was heartbreaking. I like spent that whole year after my freshman year just getting my mind right, getting my body right, training harder than ever to play at our varsity level because our team was state contenders. And coming down with that, it was just my whole world switched. Like my mind instantly went to what did I work for? Why me? Like all the worst case scenarios, my doctor telling me the worst case, oh, I can never walk again, I can never play again, I can never run again. So automatically I was just defeated. Like, what am I even here for? But being able to lean back on, players as your such that have went through injuries and honestly just having like a strong family and coach foundation to uplift me like, yo, like keep going. Don't just lack. Don't let this define who you are. Really helped me to keep pushing and keep grinding just to I guess not even prove them wrong, but prove myself wrong that everything was gonna be okay.
Mm. That's I ain't gonna lie, that's powerful because, like you said, that's something real serious, and that's not an easy thing to wrap your head around in the first place because that changes not just your athletic career, that changes your life, right? Having to go and be on crutches or have a cast or wear a boot or have a sling. Um, for me, when I went through my arm injury, the court not being able day to day basis were weirdly crushing for me. Like I used to have to take a pillow with me to class to be comfortable. I didn't want to take a pillow to class. I thought I looked stupid. I'll be real with you. I felt like I was, every day I'm embarrassed just because I'm having to deal with this in the first place. Being surrounded by people that's trying to go to kind of like the same common place, the same common goal as me. So being that you were able to wrap your head around that and bear down and be like, okay, you know what? I know this is hard. I know this is difficult. I know this hurts, but I'm gonna go and get through it. That's a really, really, really good mindset to have. And like you said, you didn't hold back. I know a lot of people will kind of keep their. You say, you know what? I'm gonna go and I'm going to use my resources and find people to talk to and be open and honest with what I'm dealing with. So, going on from there for you, just in everyday life, how did the injury affect you? How did it affect you mentally? What did it change for you in your life?
Um, the injury mainly affected how I saw myself. I believe before the injury, I was more, I would say, closed minded. I was more one dimensional, like sports defined me who I was. But then going through an injury where I didn't have an outlet to, run up and down the court or really, uh, talk to teammates and whatnot, it kind of showed me, okay, that there's more to life than just basketball. There's more to life than just football. So then I had to pick up other outlets to pivot and find what I was good at. I started drawing more. I started painting. I started picking up cameras, listening to more music, and just figuring out who I was as a person. It honestly was a gift and a curse. But from the day to day life, I mean, I definitely felt like I was dealing with a lot of insecurities. Like everybody was looking at me. Going into school, I was on three different types of transportations. I had a wheelchair, I had a knee scooter, and I had crutches. And that was just the most awkward thing I ever felt, feeling like I was the only one, not walking, or I gotta, set my stuff up in class a certain way, put my foot up. It was just a lot of attention. And I didn't really like that. So it was more just, stay on task, focus on what you can control, and let everything work itself out. For the longest time, I couldn't even wear shorts because my scar on my leg, just looking at it made me feel some type of way. And I had to deal with that. Like now I'm proudly wearing whatever I want to wear. Like this is a part of me. And I just feel like that's probably one of the biggest things I can say changed from my day-to-day experience.
Man, it's kind of wild that you say that because the scar I call the scar on my arm the tattoo I never asked for.
Never,
So,
never.
you know, it's kind of surreal. It goes from something that you almost like despise to something that you wear proudly to be
Yeah,
like, okay, like I went through this, but I got through it. And look where I am despite that. Man, that's insane, but that's a really real aspect of it. People don't always realize like, that it's almost like once you go and you get to that place of going through your injury and your recovery, it's almost like any limelight, any like spotlight that's on you, you don't really even want that. You don't really even want
not
to
at
feel
all.
that.
Yeah,
You kind of just want to be behind the scenes and just like move in the shadows, but it almost feels like everything just gets amplified. Next thing you know, everybody's asking, "What happened? What happened? What happened to your?" Like, and you really just want to go on about your day and not even have to think about it.
yeah.
So from there, right, as got through that, and that's like I said earlier, like you said, that's a big injury. As you were coming back, as you're getting to the end of your recovery process, as you're kind of starting to make decisions in terms of what you want to do, given you've explored more of who you are as a person, but you still have a love for your sports. What was the process in terms of, deciding what you were gonna do there and just transitioning back into, you know, life after your injury?
The process was really more of just what did I feel was right. I took a lot of time to myself. I was journaling every day, could look back and really see what I was thinking instead of just feeling it, keeping it inside, and just taking the time to be able to trust myself. I feel like that was the biggest problem I faced was, can I get back and trust myself that I won't go through this again? And yeah, I mean, for fun, I was just going to the gym 3 times a day just to get out of the house. My mom and dad weren't just letting me just lay up and rest. Other than when I was going through the surgeries, I had three. But other than that, I was just seeing how I could have fun with everything I could do outside of sports, but then incorporating it into what I could do with sports. So say I had a practice one day, okay, that's cool. And I can have a mental reset the next day and just write, draw something, hang outside, and being able to have a natural balance where it felt right to me and I was still enjoying what I was doing.
Dude, that's like you really explored yourself as you went through that. Like you really expanded who you are, like in all facets. And not a lot of people your age are doing that, right? Um, it's almost like the bubble that we kind of encapsulate ourselves in, especially in teenage years, going through high school. You burst that bubble, you went out your comfort zone, and kind of like we have a tendency as athletes to go and just be like, "Oh, I'm an athlete," right?
Yeah,
Versus being like, "Oh, I'm Lou," or you being like, "Oh, I'm Julian," and Julian is who Julian is, rather than just putting the label on yourself. Julian is the athlete. Nah, you went and you built and you said, all right, I'm an athlete, but that's just one part of who I am. And you just stacked on, stacked on, stacked on in terms of what you could do and who you are. And that's not an easy thing to do.
yeah, it was definitely something experimental. It it was fun while I was going through it because I could really find out what I was good versus what I was bad at. And I'm still to this day just trying stuff, figuring myself out. But I'm very thankful to the experience and the fact that I could take something away and say, okay, like this is a skill. This is something I could pursue in the future. Because sports isn't ever like it's a clock no matter where you're playing at. So just having something to fall back on is very important to me.
You talked a little bit about how your parents brought you through, supporting you, but also giving you a little bit of tough love, kind of telling you like you're not gonna sit on your butt in the house all day, right? Like you gotta go do something, you gotta find something to do, you gotta explore other things. How was your support system a big part in your recovery?
It was huge. I mean, the first thing that my mom ever just she would just sit next to the bed with me, hand me little 10-pound weights, 15-pound weights, and just tell me curl them till you don't want to curl them anymore, just stuff like that. And then my dad, just laying up in bed, he would make me get out of bed, walk around, cook something, play with the dog, just stuff like that. So that, because, laying up, all you can really think about is what's in front of you. But then what you have, like for my instance, on my leg, like I got this scar, I can't move my leg. I can't. So just taking my mind away from that was very, very crucial. I mean, my sister as well, she would want to talk to me about the most random things, try her hardest to make me laugh. And in the time being, I'm a mad kid. Like, I wasn't always the nicest. I can fully admit that, but they were definitely patient with me and definitely like pushing me to express, which I can appreciate that because I know I don't even know where I would be right now if I didn't have an outlet to express. Talking to people like you, my cousin Preston, my cousins Kelly, Chris, my whole family, honestly, just giving me an outlet to express and not just feel like I was actually going through this alone. And all this built up anger and anxiety inside of me was just staying there.
Nah, that's real. And kind of like just in general, shout out to families and support systems going as we go through our recovery. Cause for me, when I was in the hospital after my surgery, I did not talk for like 3 or 4 days. And my parents will tell you that. I did not speak to anybody. I barely spoke. I don't even think I spoke to the doctor. I just sat in the hospital bed and didn't say anything. It's like I kind of carried the anger just for like days on days on days because of the situation I was in. And, as time went on, I got back and all that different stuff. But, of course, kind of like you said, finding other things, people around you, forcing you to get out of your comfort zone is such an amazingly big thing that we don't always appreciate. I know I found myself not always appreciating as much as I can. Um, so yeah, your village is so important when you're going through things like this, and that's just in life too, for real.
Because I can definitely tell you, in the time where my parents were all up in my face, my sister, like I didn't want to hear none of that. I don't want to curl no curl. I didn't want to move. But looking back at it, I definitely appreciate them more than I could ever describe. It's honestly crazy.
Dude, man, I remember when I first had mine, my dad would like, cause when I broke my arm, my bones damaged like the muscle that would bend this thumb. So
Mm.
when I try to bend my thumb, I could only do like that. And my dad would come in my room and just sit there and be like, "Just try to bend your thumb. Just like see how much you can do it. Just like move it." And I used to get so annoyed with this man. He used to get on my every last nerve. But now looking back, I'm like, that's just one of the ways that he was just supporting me and trying to show me that even though I went through this and it's hard and it's not easy and it hurts and it kind of sucks, that I'm still gonna come back and I'm still gonna be better. And even though that thumb's not bending right now, it's gonna be back to where it needs to be. Um, and the fact that he just kind of like never lost confidence in me. That even when the times where I couldn't bend it at all and I'd have to use my finger to force it and it would hurt, right? He would keep coming back every single day and keep just encouraging me and telling me to do it and encouraging me and telling me to do it. And I don't think I really fully realized the impact that had until later on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had my similar situation was with my foot, and I couldn't bend it this way. I couldn't have any dorsiflexion.
Mhm.
Just my mom just keep trying to push my foot, keep trying to tell me try, 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 try. That was the most annoying thing on earth. It, honestly, the attempt just helped, made my foot big, made my foot stronger. and it made me do something.
Yeah, cause it's so easy to just go and be a couch potato, like,
Yeah.
just but yeah, going on from there, right? I know this is evident for me, right? But for you, how do you think that that whole experience going through your injury, going through those hardships and everything, how do you think that really went and helped you in terms of what it's gonna be like for you when you go through those tough times and those adversities and those hardships that everybody goes through in life later on in the future?
I think it helped me tremendously, especially going at it so young, because now it feels like I can do anything. Nothing is too hard. Nothing is too out of the picture for me. I know who I am. I know what I stand for, and I know what I've been through. So now it's like there's no really barrier into what I can and cannot accomplish.
That's facts. I ain't gonna lie. And on top of that, as you went through it, you built up your skills too. So it's like you also just know how to work on yourself and improve yourself despite the adversity that you're going through too, which everybody doesn't know how to do that. Some people kind of like fall and crumble under the pressure, but for you, it's like, okay, you know how to pivot. That taught you certain things about yourself, allowed you to expand in so many different ways. And actually, a question I have is what's something that during that time, of course, getting injured sucks, right? But during that time when you were in your recovery and through that whole process, what's something that you wouldn't give back that you gained from that whole recovery situation
That I would not give back.
that you would not give back?
I would definitely not give back the transportation during my school. Like being on three different transportation systems, it kind of destroys your ego in a way that I felt is I feel is very needed. Like you kind of almost have to, like, you need to know. I was genuinely at the bottom. I would definitely feel like I was at the bottom. There was no lower place. And I wanted to get back to being where I was. The only way to go was up. So I think that my ego, my confidence is being destroyed, and being able to build that back up is something I would like never ever take back. I needed that.
I haven't heard that yet, and I wasn't expecting that. I'm not gonna lie, but that's real. Dang, like you was based to you were forced to humble yourself,
Yes.
and that really made you like excel in other ways as you built yourself back up. That's insane, bro. You done you yeah. You got me lost for words right now. Man, like you really went through honestly what sounds like one of the craziest injuries. I know I wasn't able to necessarily see it, but you went through one of the craziest injuries I've ever heard of and really built yourself back up in a better way, not just physically but also mentally, right? And of course, going back to how we know each other, of course, we've been going to the same church for our entire lives, right? I know for me, um, in my recovery, after my recovery, especially, my walk with Christ and Jesus and my faith has been a big, huge part of me pushing forward and getting through. What would you say is something for you that pushed you forward, got you through in those hard times, even if your support system did everything they could, you still felt down?
Definitely, definitely Jesus Christ. Definitely my friends. Even my dog. Just being able to talk to somebody, not feeling like they gonna talk back. I feel like that was pretty cool. Uh, God never really left my side, honestly. And one of the things I would pray for every night was that He would show His face in my life and in my dreams. And I remember one of the biggest things the doctor said was like, I had a 25% chance coming back or like ever doing anything again, some crazy stuff like that. Mm,
Like you have a 25% chance of like walking again or something like that.
yeah. And I kept seeing 25. I kept seeing just like signs and symbols where I was like, okay, like this is not no coincidence. He definitely Like my my thing was this was definitely a miracle to be able to exceed all those expectations, um, to be able to do what I want to do, being able to move my foot, which I couldn't move my foot for months. And now I can do whatever. It's definitely a miracle. And God has really put his hand over my life.
Man, I didn't know that. You couldn't move your foot for months?
Months, bro. Cause the first thing when I first hit the hospital was they they did all types of tests on my body and my foot wouldn't move. And initially they were talking about like, okay, like that's weird, but you might get it back in a couple days, a couple weeks. It went months where I couldn't move my foot. And that was my third surgery in like the year where I had to get the surgery to be able to fix what was damaged and then I could move my foot. But after like before that, I was wearing AFOs and all these types of transportations to be able to lift my foot so I could just walk.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I don't think a whole lot of people really been through what you've been through. Like, even in terms of me and my injury, right? I had a very traumatic injury as well. I snapped my arm in half basically, and it broke the skin, there's blood pouring out. They were worried about nerve damage and stuff, but you know, I guess the question for me was if I'd be able to use my thumb and my arm again the same. And it seems like you had a very similar situation, but yours, was even, in my opinion, to a bit to a higher level because you can't move your foot. You're not going to be able to walk the same, right? Did you ever have any doubt that you were going to be able to come back?
I'm not gonna lie, like I definitely had doubt. I definitely felt it that it was over, but I just didn't accept that it was over. And all the AFO stuff, that was the most annoying thing. It would stretch out my shoes. I have to get bigger shoes, all the types of crazy stuff. And then going to the trainer's office, they would have to like wrap my foot all types of crazy ways. And that definitely made me feel like, yeah, like, nah, it's over. But I just kept trying, kept working. My parents kept pushing me in. It was definitely was not over.
Did you go back and tell yourself, like at the beginning of the injury, you playing football, playing basketball, doing everything that you're doing, pursuing things as an athlete, right? You now could talk to that version of you. What would you tell him?
Keep doing what you're doing. Looking back, there's not too much I would change. All the anger, all the mixed emotions, the crying, the tears, everything. Like, there's not much I would change because how I am today, like, I don't even know if I would be here today without doing most of that stuff and going through what I went through.
So you would if you went back, you going back through that same injury again.
I would just keep doing what you're doing. Stay down and just
Yeah.
wait.
I mean, well, like you said, you gained a lot through it. From what I'm hearing, like it really sounds like you had a blessing in disguise. And God has a weird way of working. Like, um, it's weird. He'll go and allow for certain things to happen to direct you to where he needs you to go. Even if those things, like in the moment, it feels like it sucks. I definitely felt like that with my arm, but I was able to sit down and gain and learn a lot of things, both on and off the court, and learn certain things about myself, kind of like you did. I feel like for a lot of people, they kind of are able to just like gain their passion or find other passions just because they had to sit down and basically like watch God work and just explore other things. And yeah, as athletes, that's definitely something that we struggle with. Kind of going back to the beginning, being an athlete, being a student athlete ends up becoming your identity. And then it's like, all right, who are you outside of that? You know what I'm saying? So kind of aside from what you would say to yourself, what would you say to others that were in your situation that's going through it?
What would I say to others in my situation? Really, that it just is all gonna be okay. I mean, one of my friends' father, he had a surgery, and like one day I just randomly got a text asking me how we should go about doing things, and that made me kind of look at things differently. Like, okay, I could be a testament to somebody else's life, and I just told him like it's gonna be okay. um, this is what PT is gonna look like. This is probably what your mental health is gonna look like, but you got to go through it, or else it's not gonna get better.
Yeah, man. And that was actually I kind of had that same effect with you
Yeah,
because
all full circle,
when you
honestly.
yeah, for real. Like
Yeah,
my mom realized came to me one day. She told me she like he want to talk to you. We talking, and that literally sparked the idea for this whole thing. Like it made me realize everybody doesn't always have somebody to talk to that you may have somebody to talk to, but you don't necessarily have somebody to talk to that understands what you're going or understands like just what you're dealing with. Being that is like, all right, as athletes, you got certain goals, you got certain things you try and get to. This becomes like a huge part of your life. All right, you got practice, and then you got weightlifting, and you got treatment, and then you got personal workouts, and then might be watching film, and then you might be, just all different types of stuff that you put into this one aspect of your life to the point where it becomes a main part of your identity, and then all of that is gone, just like that. All of that is gone, and you know you don't always feel like you have somebody to talk through that with you, you know? It's different types of difficulties through it. Sometimes somebody might twist the ankle and they can't play. That sucks. Or you might twist the ankle and you play, but you can't play the same. It sucks. Go through something like traumatic, that's a whole different level. And not everybody deals with that. So having a situation where you can talk to somebody like that's been through that and, you know, just be able to like even talking to you at that time, that was therapeutic for me. Cause I was just like, it made me open back up what I had went through. And I was like, dang, I didn't even realize there's still some stuff that I haven't resolved from my recovery. So, I mean, like kind of just like you said, like that all inspired all of this as a whole. And, literally ever since then, I was like, this is something that I really, really, really like need to do. Um, so I mean, overall, thank you for that. Even though you may not have realized it at the time, you know, you were a super, super, super big part in the development of me being like, no, this is something I need to do. This even just getting the idea in the first place. So yeah, and the podcast is called Uncontainable. From what I've heard, you totally fully embody that without question. Right? But for you, what does it mean to be uncontainable?
what it means to me to be uncontainable is that nothing I say or do negatively or one dimensionally will define me, and that I can break whatever barriers put in front of me, and I can do whatever I see myself doing or want myself to do. I mean, even looking back at, like talking to other people and sharing my stories, it's really cool because then I can look back and see like how far I really came, like where I mentally where I mentally was at, feeling like I was contained in a bubble or genuinely body in a bubble, couldn't do anything to like now I'm free is really dope. Like it almost flew by so fast. In the moment, it was slow, it was annoying, it was aggy, but now like I'm appreciative. And I think that is definitely how I feel uncontainable.
Well, I ain't gonna lie, little bro, you definitely embody that. And I'm not sure if you quite 18 because you talking like you wise beyond your years right now, but you feel me? You man, you done been through some things that a whole lot of people will never be through or go through. And you done dealt with it better than a whole lot of people would ever deal with it. And I more than commend you on that. I applaud you on that because
Thank you.
kind of just like we've been talking about, that's not an easy thing to go about, go through, deal with at all. And I mean, you did nothing less of just totally conquering it and just you didn't go with the punches, you threw them. You know what I'm saying? Man, this has been amazing. Julian, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me today, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Man, this has been awesome. This has been amazing for real. It's touched me. I know it's going to touch the people watching. And for y'all out there watching, thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe, stay tuned because there's definitely 100% more coming up soon. Uncontainable.
Sorry.